The wind was cruel that morning, an icy whip that seemed to slice right through coats and scarves and into bone. The sky hung heavy with the kind of gray that makes the whole world feel smaller, as if the clouds themselves are leaning down on your shoulders. Matthew Bennett tugged his daughter Emma's mittened hand into his own, his knuckles white from both the cold and the silent weight of his thoughts. He had $37 left to last until Friday. The grocery bag in his other hand carried just enough bread, milk, and eggs to make it through 2 days if he rationed carefully. Rent was already 4 days late. His phone buzzed with a message from the landlord earlier that morning, but he hadn't opened it. He already knew what it said. Life lately had been reduced to a series of quiet negotiations with disaster. And then, as he and Emma rounded the corner of the old river bridge, he saw her. She stood on the far side, the wind blowing her wet hair across her face, her shoulders hunched as if she were holding up the entire sky. Her coat, too thin for the season, flapped loosely around her as though she'd stopped caring about keeping it closed. Her fingers were curled tightly around the rusted railing, knuckles pale, body angled forward in a way that made Matthew's stomach twist. It was a dangerous bridge, the water beneath it dark and fast-moving, littered with broken branches and jagged ice chunks swirling in the current. Most people walked by without slowing down. One man glanced in her direction, then hurried away. Another woman crossed to the opposite sidewalk entirely, pretending not to see. Matthew could have done the same. God knew he had enough of his own troubles, but something in the way she stood there, so utterly alone, stopped him mid-step. "Emma," he said quietly, kneeling to meet his daughter's curious gaze. "See that bench right there? Go sit on it for a minute. Hold the bag, and don't move." Emma frowned, her small brow furrowing. She was only 7, but she was perceptive, and she sensed the seriousness in his voice. She clutched the grocery bag to her chest and sat down, her feet swinging above the cold pavement. Matthew straightened and walked toward the woman on the edge. He didn't call out right away. He'd learned in his own dark moments that sometimes words can push someone closer to the brink if they come too suddenly. He approached slowly, the sound of the river filling the air between them. "Cold out here," he said gently, his voice low but steady. The woman didn't look at him. Her eyes were fixed on the water below, her hair clinging to her wet cheeks. The hospital bracelet around her wrist caught his eye, a stark strip of white against skin that looked far too thin. "You don't want to do this," Matthew said. His own voice surprised him, breaking slightly at the end. She finally spoke, her tone a hoarse whisper. "You don't know what I've lost." "You're right," Matthew said after a pause. "I don't. But I know what it's like to feel like you've lost everything that matters." He told her about the day he came home to an empty apartment, his wife gone without a note, taking with her not just the furniture but the warmth in the place. He told her about nights sitting in the dark, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how to stretch $20 into a week's worth of meals. He told her about the bottle he once held in his hand, thinking about how easy it would be to end the ache inside him. "But I didn't," he said, glancing toward Emma on the bench. "Because of her. And because I realized, pain changes, even when you think it won't. Not today, that's what I told myself. Just, not today." The woman's grip on the railing loosened slightly. Her lips trembled. "It's not just one thing," she said. "It's everything. I can't go back. There's nothing to go back to." "Then go forward," Matthew said. "Even if you have no idea where forward is yet." He stepped closer, close enough to feel the cold radiating from her. He extended his hand. "Not today. You can make any decision tomorrow, but today, just walk with me." For a long, quiet moment, the only sound was the wind and the rush of the river below. Then she took his hand. Her fingers were icy, trembling. Matthew pulled her gently away from the railing, wrapping his coat around her shoulders despite the sharp bite of the wind against his own skin. "Come on," he said. "We'll get warm somewhere." They crossed the street to a small cafe that smelled of coffee and fresh bread. Matthew bought her a steaming mug of coffee and a sandwich with the last of his cash. Emma slid the muffin from her kid's meal across the table to the woman without a word. That tiny act seemed to crack something inside her. She smiled, a small, uncertain thing, and whispered, "Thank you." Her name was Lila. She'd been a nurse once, until an injury at work forced her to quit. Her mother, her last family member, had died 3 months ago. Bills had piled up faster than she could pay them. The apartment went next. She'd been sleeping under bridges, in shelters, sometimes not at all. I thought maybe I was done," she said. Over the next week, Matthew helped Lila connect with a women's shelter through the community center he sometimes volunteered at. It wasn't easy. There were forms to fill, waiting lists to fight through, but she got a bed and a safe place to sleep. She started seeing a counselor at the center. She even began helping in the kitchen there, chopping vegetables and serving meals to people who reminded her too much of herself. Matthew's own life didn't magically get better. He still had rent notices, still worked long hours at a job that barely paid enough. But something had shifted. In helping Lila take one step back from the edge, he'd found himself standing a little steadier on his own. They became friends. She'd stop by sometimes to drop off homemade soup for him and Emma, who adored her. And slowly, Matthew saw the light come back into her eyes. 6 months later, they were at the park on a bright spring day when they heard someone calling. Lila jogged over, hair tied back, wearing clean jeans and a volunteer badge from the shelter. She hugged them both fiercely. "You were right," she told Matthew. "Not today. Anne. I think I can keep saying that for a while." Matthew smiled, watching Emma chase a kite across the grass. He realized then that we rarely know the full impact of the moments when we choose to stop, to listen, to reach out. But for Lila, for Emma, and maybe even for himself, those 3 words had been enough to change everything. Not today.